This episode of Simple Civics EdTalks is sponsored by informedsc.org, South Carolina's most comprehensive and user-friendly nonpartisan data center for critical information about students, teachers, achievement, and funding for public education. Bringing together district and state-level data, informedsc.org is a one-stop shop for researchers and champions to advance knowledge and inform action. InformEdSC.org is a special project of Public Education Partners, Greenville County. One of the ways that Greenville County Schools is having great success at improving outcomes for students is that it has been intentionally investing in its teachers, not just with higher salaries, but also through strategic coaching that aligns practice with data and helps teachers and administrators meet the needs of students most effectively. You might not have heard the terms instructional coach or academic specialist before, but after today's Simple Civics EdTalks, you'll understand why they are so important to the success of our schools. I'm Catherine Schumacher with Public Education Partners, and today I'm joined by Erin Rigot and Mary Leslie Anderson of Rigot Consulting to unpack these critical roles. Well, Mary Leslie and Erin, thanks for joining me for our conversation today. We're going to talk a little bit about the work that you all do as an instructional coach, Erin, and then Mary Leslie, you're an academic specialist. And, there are a lot of terms in public education and in education generally. And the work that you do is so essential to success in our classrooms and success for our students, but you're not teaching in the classroom. And I think we've made a lot of really strategic investments in Greenville County Schools in roles like yours to help teachers be their best selves. And I think that's why we're seeing outcomes improve. And so I think it's really important for the public and for the folks who listen to Ed Talks to understand what it is you do every day. So Erin, why don't you talk a little bit, you started as a classroom teacher, obviously, but talk about how you got to where you are as an instructional coach and what is an instructional coach?
Yes, and I'm so glad that we're answering this question today because when I tell people what I do, they're always like, okay, cool, what is that?
Yeah.
So I wanted to be a teacher growing up. I was one of those kids that always knew they wanted to be a teacher. And so I made that my goal. I got my degree in middle school education and became a teacher. And I loved it. And around year 9, my instructional coach retired at my school. And I had always kind of had instructional coaching in the back of my head. I loved both of my instructional coaches in my teaching experience and what they did. And so I think that role was always something I thought would be kind of cool to look into. So an instructional coach is someone who is in the building to coach the teachers. It can look very different across every level and across every building. We don't even look the same across all middle schools or all elementary schools or high schools. Also, depending on your building and the number of students, you may have more than one of us.
Right.
Or an
but every
elementary.
school has at least
Correct.
one?
Yes.
Every school has at least
one.
Okay.
And then you also, at certain levels, like elementary, you may also have a reading coach, a math coach. So it can look different all over the place. But our job is to support teachers and how they support students. So that includes a lot of different things for a lot of different hats. It can be going into classrooms and collecting data so that teachers can make instructional decisions and working with them to make those decisions. It is sometimes coaching cycles, which is a way to go in the classroom and do some modeling with the teacher or do a different type of, they're called the coaching moves. And so there's different ways to team teach or collect data with the teacher. And it's kind of a team approach to what can we collect and learn from so that we can make better instructional decisions. It also looks like, especially at my level, organizing and making sure that professional learning communities are in place.
Mm-hmm.
PLCs is what we call them.
Yep. PEP helped bring PLCs to Greenville County
That's
Schools.
Right.
Yep.
And we love our PLCs. That's where you see a lot of growth, is when teachers are in a professional learning community together, have a dedicated time together that is protected being the key word there.
Yeah.
So that they can talk in a data lens.
Right.
They are not just sitting around talking about a difficult day they had yesterday.
This is not just
or
about
a lesson.
complaining.
Correct.
Yeah.
This is not a complaining time. This is a time to look at the 4 questions of a PLC and really answer those questions and stay on topic so that you are making better instructional decisions for you and the content partner that you work with so that everyone's on the same page. And what we want to avoid there is making sure that it's not that we're telling teachers to teach exactly alike, because that is not best for students or teachers.
Right.
What we want to make sure in those meetings is that we're staying on the same page. So,
Yeah.
are we following the pacing guide of the district? I'm an Army kid. I moved all the time. And so it is really important to me. And I try to explain this to my teachers that it is crucial that we have kids that are transient all over this
Yeah.
district. They hop from Greenville County School to Greenville County School. And if we are not staying on that pacing guide, that can affect the development and the growth of that student all year long. So
interesting.
especially now that we're in testing season, right?
Yeah.
And so it's when they're able to sit together, look at the pacing guide together, say, okay, where are you? Where am I? How are we going to teach this next unit in a way that is going to meet the needs of our students? Let's talk about our ML students, multi-language, our SPED students, and really doing a deep dive in instruction. So that's a big part of what I do is instruction. In addition to that, though, it can be anything from benchmark testing to state testing to lots of different odd jobs around the building.
But it all ties in to that sort of data, like how are you moving the needle on achievement, both for each individual student, but also sort of collectively for that teacher in the classroom, but then also sort of school-wide.
Correct. So when benchmark scores come out, we deep dive those.
Yep.
I set up those different PLC agendas so that we can look more closely at benchmark data. How are we doing as a school? How are we doing as a math department, ELA department? How are we doing compared to each other on the hall? Not for, to be negative with each other about our data, but in a, what are you doing for this particular standard? Because your student scored really high on that.
Yeah, what are the bright spots, what's working,
So
and
all
how
the way
can we,
down to specific classrooms and all the way as big as how does our school compare to schools like us in the district.
I think it's so interesting because, there's so much talk now, and obviously, as I always say, I'm not an educator, but I have this background in nonprofit, and this idea of coaching and cohort learning, both of which are things you just talked about. I think that's really interesting in terms of improving outcomes. And not just that, but also having the teachers feel supported
Absolutely.
at multiple levels. So, Mary Leslie, what is the difference between that in the school setting and what you do as an academic specialist at the district level?
My official role is Title I Specialist for Secondary ELA.
That's quite a title.
Okay. I am.
But there are a lot of academic specialists
There are
at the
many
district in
academic
different categories.
specialists in English, social studies, science, math. Special ed has academic specialists.
Some focus on Title I, some focus on... Yeah.
So, but there is a basis in what we do, even though our jobs probably look different day to day. Basically, these roles have been funded over the last 25 years, probably, or have grown in the last 25 years in a response to the teacher retention issue.
Yeah.
And so, with the rise of the digital age, with the rise of, really technology, because it has changed our world, no longer does a woman just step into a classroom and give the children some information and then leave. It doesn't look like that. And so, the research states that the first 3 years of a teacher's career are the most crucial. That's where we lose the most teachers. And because of the teacher shortage nationwide, states and districts have created alternate certification paths.
So it's people who have never been in a classroom before who are being supported.
Correct.
Right.
So we have more teachers coming in alternate cert paths. First and second year teachers need that additional support. And then also there are a number of international teachers in Greenville and, across the country who need that support in learning, the United States.
How we do things here.
Yeah. So that was a long way to get to, that's kind of the basis for these instructional coach and academic specialist roles. Our roles are very similar to what Erin was talking about, but on a bigger scale.
Right.
So really diving into data. You have an academic specialist for ELA, math, science, and social studies, one of those for secondary and an elementary in each content area.
Yeah.
But then you have the Title I academic specialists who are, it's like a microcosm. We're focused on our Title I schools.
Which is typically, not always, but typically where we're facing the biggest challenges in achievement.
And underperforming, yes.
Yep.
So, and our underserved students and families.
Although I do want to give a shout out, we do have a lot of schools that are beating the odds here in Greenville County
Yes, we
Schools.
do.
So, and there's a reason. Part of the reason is because of what you guys do.
I mean, I would like to think that.
Yes.
So, you know, that's something, and it comes from all different areas. You have to kind of think about it as a umbrella. I also, in addition to working specifically with middle and high school Title I English teachers, I also specifically work with principal, instructional coach, professional learning. Surrounded.
So that's a real partnership, right, Erin? Like the principal, and obviously that's how you two got to know each
other.
Yeah. Once a month, there's a principal IC meeting that the district hosts, and that would be her team. So they plan a day for all the principals and their IC to come together and get on the same page with what's coming up and what's going on,
and the focus.
What the data says.
The focus is always based in DeForest Professional Learning Communities model.
Yep.
Our district also operates under Diane Sweeney's student-centered coaching model, so that is always included. You know, what we are working with the principals.
So you're trying to sing from the same songbook.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
This year in particular, your team, I think, has done a lot of good work in letting ICs get together during those days so that we can, because we're the only ones in our building. We're an island.
Yeah.
And so it's so nice to gather with other people who
in a cohort
setting once a month, even if it's just for an hour of the whole day that we're together, and kind of talk out some things.
I think that's so interesting. I mean, and I think so. One of the reasons I wanted to have this conversation just because, again, we throw out terms a lot, but recently I've been looking at this as it relates to like school budget and district budget, because the way that the state, calculates school funding, y'all's roles are not included. I'm pretty sure that's right. I don't think either of them is. I can double check all of this in sort of those allocations. And we know how important they are for student success. So like these are locally funded positions.
I believe so.
I believe so too. But I love that you said student success, because I think that's a big part of how we're viewed is, we're coaching for student success. We're coaching for student success. But the amount of times that I'm a therapist for adults in the
100%.
building, and I love that part of my job. I love helping the teachers in my school. But, we just had a episode with a first year teacher, and she mentioned her instructional coach. And I think it's just crucial that people have a better understanding that instructional coaches are not just there to do coaching cycles and look at data. We are keeping a pulse on the building at all times. Our job is to be the bridge between the teachers and the administrators, because administrators sometimes have to be evaluative. They have to go in,
of course,
and do that. Whereas we go in and we're not allowed to be. We are there for feedback and feedback only.
Right.
So when a teacher needs to come and talk something out, or is having a bad day, or needs to just really have a moment where they figure out, what am I going to do with this one class? I'm struggling with this one class. Those are the great conversations that I think aren't really accounted for in what we do, but that's probably majority of my job. So
same.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an investment in teacher retention.
Exactly.
So confirming, I'm looking at the budget information document released for, it says, in the state revenue, not included are positions such as aides, SROs, instructional coaches, or any other personnel necessary to operate schools or districts. So that's really, I mean, that shows
incredible.
You the value that our district places on these kinds of roles, and then how that's trickled up into achievement in Greenville County. What do you all love? Obviously, both of you have been classroom teachers. Mary Leslie, you've been a principal. What do you love about sitting in the seat that you sit in now in this role?
I have had such a rich career, and it was definitely difficult to have the realization that it was time for me to move on from the principalship. But I have always believed that two things about leadership. Number one is the principal's job to grow people. It is also a leader's job, be it principal or instructional coach, academic specialist. It is essential that person support the teachers, because if you don't take care of your teachers, they can't take care of the kids.
Right.
And, we talk about the mental health crisis. We talk about, the digital age. We talk about new generations coming up, and things are hard. And so if we don't take care of the adults, and because things outside of work are hard, we need to make work, the place where the structure, like we were talking about earlier with classrooms, where they know the structure, know what's expected, but also have a place to get help. And for me, that is key to what we're doing. And I get to do that every day.
What about you, Erin?
Just like the teachers, I would say relationships. Relationships with your coworkers is such a beautiful thing. And I love that every day is different. I love that a teacher that is having a great day on Tuesday might be crying in my office on Wednesday.
Yeah.
And then we're back to normal on Thursday. It's the ability to be there for people every day. And it looks one day about data, and then the next day about something going on in their personal life. And then the next day there's a new curriculum thing that we're working on, so I just love the variety, but the love that we have across our staff, and that I get to be a part of keeping the culture going.
Yeah.
The culture is, to me, crucial in a building.
I agree 100%.
If you don't have a good culture, everything falls apart from every adult to every student, right?
Yeah.
And so in order to maintain a culture, I think you've got to have a good bridge between what leadership is expected to do, because they are in higher positions of administration where they're given a lot of different accountability that is overwhelming at times, right?
Pressure.
Yes.
And so I almost don't know how you would function. So I'm so very thankful that Greenville County Schools funds us, because if you don't have someone in the middle sitting in those meetings going, okay, I understand this is what you've been told, but here's how that's going to go for the teachers when you tell them.
Like translating.
I'm literally the communication piece in between.
Interesting.
Yep. So that's my favorite part, is the relationships, but also being able to be the translator between what we have to do and how that's going to look and how it's going to read the room and how to get that information out.
So when you were speaking, Erin, it made me think about just the way the best educators that I know, and I know so many incredible educators, talk about the relationship first when teaching. So really what you two are talking about is just teaching, but you're kind of teaching the grown-ups.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I just think it's a really powerful idea. I loved this conversation. Anything else y'all want to add? Any other thoughts?
Just keep funding coaches.
Please.
That's right. That's right. Keep paying attention to the budget so
the
that we can
teachers would say that too, I would think.
No, I love it.
Yeah, no, I think we, meaning all of us, need to remember that we are in a human
the people
position.
Business. The people.
We are, it's not, teachers are not robots. Students are not robots. And parents are not robots. We are all humans that have very real needs and very specific needs. And so I think that's something that everybody needs to realize.
It's a great note to end on. Thanks, ladies. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Simple Civics EdTalks is a joint project of Greater Good Greenville, Greenville First Steps, and Public Education Partners Greenville County.
Hi, Simple Civics Greenville County listeners, Nathaniel here. If you've made it this far, then we think you'll really love our newsletter. Sign up for bonus content, updates, and more right in your inbox. Look for the link in the description that says newsletter to sign up, or visit us at simplecivcsgreenvillecounty.org. Find the link in the menu that says newsletter and sign up there. We'll see you again next week.